Hello there. Express entry draw. That's what you're here for? Well, there was another express entry draw number 236. I think that was the series of this number. And the draw did happen 23rd of November. Poof, big egg on my face because I was one of those few people who said there may not be a draw today, but it did happen. Thankfully, I'm so thankful that the draw did happen finally. But there were some issues with it, and we will talk about that in just a minute. And thank you for joining in, but stay tuned and we'll talk about that, about the draw and the pool breakdown. Express entry draw that happened today, the draw number 236, that is the draw number for this particular series. 24th draw of 2022. This was 23rd of November, which is today, of course. The total number of invitations issued were 4,750. CRS, lowest CRS score drawn was 491. This was the 11th draw, all program draw ever since they started conducting the all program draw. The tiebreaker was applied for the 12th of October 2022 at 11:22:17 UTC. For people who are still confused with what tiebreaker means, it applies only to people with scores of 491 in this particular draw. The lowest score is where the tiebreaker is applied, and it means that if your score is 491 and if you created your express entry profile after October 12th, 11:22 in the morning UTC time, then your profile was not considered for this particular draw. Profiles before this period of time were considered. However, any score which was more than 491, 492, 493 and above, they would have all received an invitations. If you haven't received an ITA yet, you would receive it within the 24 hours of the draw being conducted. This is basically what this short summary here means. This is the express entry score, this is the express entry pool breakdown. 601 to 1200 was 876 profiles. These are the number of people who have received their nominations. So they got the 600 points, and based on that, their scores have gone more than 600. These were 876 of them. But the beautiful number here is the scores between 501, that range 501 to 600. Somehow 1,227 new people managed to come there yet again. I mean, how is it really happening, right? I mean, so many of these people managed to go out, draw after draw after draw. We are seeing huge increases of profiles with 501. Now, obviously, one explanation for this is that there is this big segment of people who continue to decline their ITAs. Because they decline their ITAs, they are back into the pool. Of course, these scores are high, so therefore they are one of those people. We discussed that in the last segment as well, where we said that a lot of people receive an ITA earlier than them having completed their work experience. For example, they have completed 11 months of work experience, but they get the 12th month of work experience points, and they get worried that can they proceed, can they not proceed. Similarly, you have completed 22, 23 months of your work experience, but you've got points for 24 months of your Canadian work experience, and you freak out that you haven't completed your work experience. You've got the points, and a lot of these people decline their ITAs. Please don't decline your ITAs. You can continue with your ITA. There is no problem with it. Just make sure you submit your express entry profile, or you submit your express entry application only after completing your legal and valid period of stay, because by declining these ITAs, you are only just ruining a chance of another person who may have gotten an invite here. But that's what's happening here. 501 to 600, huge number there, 1227. Also, a lot of people who are in this 500 plus segment are people who have completed their master's degree in Canada. They are 29 years of age, and in that segment, they have CLB 10 or CLB 9 can also work with them. And they have at least 3 years of work experience. They could very well be federal skilled worker. They don't have to be Canadian experience class. Even for those people, their scores can very well be more than 500, not 500, but 510, 515 in that range as well. Because If you have completed your master's degree outside Canada, you're 29 years of age, you have CLB 10, the maximum you can score is 481 if you do not have any Canadian connection, and you cannot, obviously, you're not bilingual, you're not a francophone either. So maximum you'll score is 481. But if you add 30 more points for having completed that master's degree in Canada, your score has now shot from 581 to 521, right? So 30 more points added, and you can get those, no, five. Did I calculate it right? 511. So 481 to 511, that's where you'll come at. So this is a lot of people who complete their master's degree can still score CLB 9, CLB 10. They would be in that big range of 500 plus. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that a lot of people are also able to obtain LMIAs and job offers. And based on that LMIAs and job offers, which is a huge rush right now, they are also able to score more than 500, and that's why you are seeing such a big increase in that chunk. It's not only 500 plus, even 490 plus, even that score range, where you can also get to that score range. Let's say you're a 440 and 445 and you secure an LMIA, add 50 points, you're at 490 plus. Okay, your age is, you're slightly a mature student, you're at 34, 35 years of age, you secure a master's degree in Canada, and again, you can be in the 490s range, all things considered as equal. So there is a lot of prospect for people to score that very high in those CRS score ranges. But a lot of times we confuse ourselves into thinking that how is it that people are getting there? These are some of the ways that people can. Of course, let's not discount the fact that Francophones or French as a second language also can add significant points in your CRS score. I know of several people who have been studying French, who have been taking French classes actively, have been able to score significantly well in their French exam, and are now sitting very pretty at 490 plus, 500 plus kind of scores. So good luck to them. But if you did receive your invitation today, then congratulations, because it's no mean feat. I mean, the fact of 491, you still managed to cross that, so that's pretty cool. Right, this was the pool breakdown last 2 weeks earlier, 7th of November, where 601 was 958 profiles, 501 and above was 1206 profiles. So this was 2 weeks back as of 7th of November. And even then, as you can see, almost 2000 plus people were added with scores of 501 plus. And I've just shown you, this is the profile, this is the pool breakdown of 22nd of November, 2 days rather, yesterday. And here also you can see more than 2000 people were added in the pool with scores of 501. So what does this do with, when 2000 plus people add themselves into the express entry pool? Wow, 2103 profiles added with scores of 500 plus range. Now, what has happened is, with the scores of 4,750, or rather with the score, not score, I'm sorry, with 4,750 invitations being issued, that has now left us with only 384 profiles with score of 491 plus. Now, of course, this number is an estimate. It's an assumption, because of course there would have been more profiles that would have gotten added, but I can't expect that to be a very large number. Let's say the number of profiles as of now, even give or take few people getting added, is roughly 500 something, because we know as per the pool breakdown it's 384. Give it some extra numbers there, considering the math of assumption. So let's say 500 people are there in the express entry pool with score of 491 plus. Let's also assume now, going by the trend, that nearly 2100 people will get added with scores of 500 plus. That gives us roughly 2600 people now in the express entry pool who would be sitting pretty. And then there would also be some expected increase in the range of 491 plus. Of course, there you have to also calculate for certain numbers there. From the last draw to this one, there was roughly about 1000 people who got added in that number. Okay. And with that being said, if I add one more 1000 here, you are sitting at 3600. If there is a draw of another 4750, you should have 1150 increment there, which basically means, what I'm trying to say with all these different numbers here is that, as we have been anticipating, the scores should very well hit below 490 in December 2022. That's what the estimate is. Of course, with all things being equal, as I keep saying that, considering IRCC continues to issue 4,750 invitations, that's the big number there, you could expect to see a draw in the range of 488, 489 in the next draw. That's what I would anticipate, 488, 489. Because that range, let me just go back to the pool breakdown. Now you see this, the range between 481 to 490, there are 10,517 people there. That's a big number. And obviously they're all spread between 481 to 490, which basically there is no way to figure out how many people are sitting with what kind of score levels. Also, we have to keep in mind that this particular draw, what has happened is that there were glitches in the system. We know it. I'm sure there are plenty of you out there, because I was hoping IRCC would sort out these glitches as we were expecting earlier with this NOC 2021. There was no way IRCC was going to have a perfect smooth transition. I was earlier quite surprised when I was seeing the NOC being updated smoothly, until we realized that there are amazing number of glitches, and a lot of people were unable to update their profiles, their spouses' profiles, especially the Canadian experience class people. Those were the ones who really suffered, because they were trying to update their spouses' profiles with the Canadian experience points for their spouses. So they were not able to do that. Not only that, with all these glitches, their entire spouses' profiles were being, were disappearing from their Express Entry profiles as well. With those details being basically disappearing, they were losing those 5 or 7 points in their Express Entry score. So a lot of the people lost out on that. Not only that, with these glitches, a lot of scores were fluctuating up and down. Some people lost 15 points, some people lost 10 points for all different reasons. And those are the ones who have really lost out in this particular draw. And this was the reason why I was not very, left a bad taste, I would say. They should sort this out. I mean, if they have been preparing, IRCC has been planning for this NOC 2021 transition for almost, God knows what, 1 year now. And the least they could do was have an error-free, glitch-free process. I mean, what they could have done is, instead of conducting this NOC 2021 transition on the 16th of November, they could have done it on the 10th of November, immediately after the next draw. I mean, immediately after the previous draw. 9th of November was the previous draw. They could have done it on the 10th of November so that the draw did not suffer. And then we would have had good 12 to 13 days before the next draw, which would have allowed them to, sort these glitches out so that people don't lose out. Right now, I know of a lot of people who have lost out. And the problem with so many people having lost out is that some of them, their birthdays are approaching and they would lose 5 points, and then they would have to wait longer. And considering so much of uncertainty, it's very, very anxious moments. So many people, their IELTS results are expiring, which is putting undue pressure on them. Their ECAs are expiring. It's putting undue pressure on them. Their work permits are expiring, putting undue pressure on them. So they could be in any number of these situations and having lost out on this factor that they are not able to, get those invitations. So feel pretty bad for that situation. I was really hoping that IRCC would have sorted these glitches out so we wouldn't have this issue. But unfortunately, this was not to be. And we had the draw the way we had it. And as I said, this was the pool breakdown. Let's see what else I have. And yeah, so basically, again, going back to the same thing, if everything remains the same, we get 4,750 invitations going. The next draw, which is anticipated on the 7th of December. That's the date that we are looking at, 7th of December. And if everything stays normal, hopefully the glitches are sorted out, people can get back into the Express Entry pool. You will see a draw on the 7th of December, hopefully scores of ITAs of 4,750. But I do not expect a big drop, because a lot of people who were unable to get their scores updated would, by that time, hopefully this glitches would have been sorted out. They would be back into the pool. So that number will go up. And I don't expect a score below 487, 488. I'm gunning more for 488 kind of a score in the best case scenario, but that's what it would look like. But at least, the scores are coming down. At least they're coming more within the grasp, more within the reach of so many of you out there. Because another important factor that I would like to talk to you about is, and I don't think I have, I do have some more some more data there. So another important factor here is, for most of you out there, is that because of these dropping scores, one very, very big benefit that you will have is the Ontario draws. Whenever Ontario does continue with their human capital priority stream draw, which is anticipated at any point of time, because Ontario's immigrant nominee program stream was closed until the 22nd of November. They had sort of put a stop to all activities. They had paused all their draws from 16th of November until the 22nd of November because they wanted to transition and update their systems as well. So if you are looking to resubmit, or rather if you have a job offer, then you will need to resubmit your expression of interest if you are in one of those categories, which is people with job offers, master's, PhD stream. If you are only anticipating the human capital priorities draw, you don't really need to do anything. But what this will do is, with these dropping scores in express entry, Ontario would also be encouraged to issue a draw for a lower score, which basically, usually what they've done historically is that they play in tandem with the express entry draw. So when they have noticed, or when they've seen that the scores are at 491 at this point of time, they would have a higher cutoff range at 490. And then depending on how many invitations they want to issue, the scores will drop to that lower number. At this point of time, if Ontario was to have a draw today, let's say for a tech draw or their general priority occupation draw, you could very well see a score in the 480s on the lower range and 490 at the higher range, which would then give an opportunity to a lot of people who are sitting out there, who are waiting anxiously to take advantage of that. As and how we move further and the express entry draws continue to drop, the scores continue to drop, this Ontario's lower range will also continue to creep lower. And again, as I said, that would give an opportunity to people who otherwise may be sitting with not too much of hope with express entry. So that's the basic advantage with the lower score express entry scores. Not only do the people in the express entry pool are getting advantage of it, people who are anticipating Ontario's draw will also get an advantage to it. Apart from that, Alberta, we haven't really heard much from their side because they haven't been conducting any general draws. But what they have been doing is slowly and steadily accepting a lot of expressions of interest for people who are under the Alberta accelerated tech pathway. So it's not like they're not operating. It's not like they're not processing nominations. Heck, we got 4 nominations just last week from Alberta, and these were for candidates whose applications we submitted under the Alberta Tech Pathway. So how does the Alberta Tech Pathway work is that you can check their website to see the knock codes. If you have 1 year of work experience in Alberta in that knock code, or if you have a job offer from an employer from Alberta in that knock code, LMIA not essential in that case, you can simply file your expression of interest. Within 48 to 72 hours, you will receive an ITA from Alberta. Once you get the ITA, you complete your application. Within 3 to 5 weeks max, you get your nomination. That's how fast they are. Once you got the nomination, you get 600 points and bang, you move. Keep in mind the express entry, the PNP quotas are also increasing next year by 20,000. So Ontario would probably have a big chunk of that. You can see more draws coming from Ontario. Similarly, proportionate numbers will also come out for Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, and Atlantic provinces. So overall, this is how it is looking like. A draw that I did not expect, but thankfully it did happen. So I'm glad that it did happen because this keeps things in perspective. Had the draw not happened today, can you imagine? Instead of a drop of 3 points, the score would have actually gone up. So the good thing is the draw did happen. Scores did drop. We are at 491 now. We do anticipate the next draw to hit below 490. We'll come back to finally 480s once again, thankfully, and hopefully keep dropping there. So that's basically all I had for you, which was a quick update on today's express entry draw number 236. But there is some more data that I have with you to share with you. The number of ITAs that have been issued if since 6th of July is 35,750. Lot of invitations for the scores to still not drop below 490. Can you believe that? I mean, they have actually issued 35,000 invitations and still the scores above 490. Let that sink. Invitations issued in 2022, the total number of invitations so far have been 46,539. and we are coming pretty close to the end of the year. So the remaining number of draws expected in 2022 is 2 more draws at most. So you're expecting a draw on the 7th, and from there on, the next one on the 21st. 2 draws to go. And if they continue with 4,750 invitations, this number of 46,539 will go into 55,000. That would be the number of invitations they would have finally rounded up with in this year of 2022. The NOC system 2021 tier was implemented on the 16th of November with lots and lots of glitches, causing so many heartaches and anxious moments for people. For people who are following on Bill C-19, which is going to be the category-based draws that would be initiated in Express Entry, well, that is anticipated or expected to be implemented post-spring 2023. Spring would basically mean March, April onwards. We do not know which month. It basically means that only after March, April of next year will you be seeing the category-based draws. That is what is the outlook at this point of time. And that is my roundup, my analysis of what the Express Entry scores are looking like. If you have received the invitation, then as I said, congratulations. You now have 60 days to complete your application. Please do not be frivolous with your ITAs. They are very, very precious. Every single time somebody declines an ITA, somebody else has lost out on that spot. So please make sure, or rather ensure, that you have exhausted all possible options to accept and make good use of your ITA before you decline it. Of course, if you are in a circumstances where you have no other option but to decline, then of course you can go ahead and decline. It will not impact your profile. You will come back into the Express Entry profile. You will be able to continue with your application. If you still haven't received your ITA, you will receive it in 24 hours. And that's basically how this rolls. I don't see, I see a lot of questions, but nothing which has something which we can talk about at this point of time. Just quickly running through some of them. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We will be talking more about the draws, about the PNPs, about the roundup when we conduct our weekly roundup. That would be on Saturday this week. Saturday being, oh boy, I have lost my calendar there. Saturday being 26th of November. We will do that at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's our weekly roundup. We'll talk more about this. And if at all you are in the beautiful city of Dubai, then I will be in Dubai from the 6th of December onwards. I'm coming to Dubai on 6th of December. We have a seminar, free information session planned in Dubai, in the Park Regis Hotel in Bar Dubai. We have the link for registration in the description box. Make sure if you're in Dubai, please do come and join us. It would be a session where we will be talking about, is Canadian PR really worth it? And is the Canadian dream still a dream, or can you make it a reality? And how easy it would be to become a Canadian PR. These and obviously much more is what we will be talking about when we will discuss these things in Dubai live on the 11th of December, which is a Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Dubai time. That's basically all I have from my side. Thank you so much for joining in. It was nice Wednesday once again, because draw days are always nice. I love them. Stay safe. Take care. Good night.